Good morning and welcome to Resolutions for Recovery. This show is dedicated to the education and empowerment for all people and families struggling with substance use disorder. And unfortunately, part of the disease is I don't even want to say the word anymore, stigma of the disease, because if we keep saying stigma, we'll still have stigma. And my two beautiful guests today are dear friends of mine, and also through their pain and their grief, we've all come forward to make a change in our communities, because if we don't make a change, we're going to have a problem. So let me introduce Claudia Frizzell and Lori Corponero.
Hello.
Who also unfortunately lost their sons to substance use.
Yes.
And we could all sit in our grief and in what happened. But tomorrow's going to come whether we want it to or not.
That's exactly right.
So my father used to say, spit on it, get up and get moving.
Right.
And we certainly have done that. So in Middle Country School District, which is right, Center Reach, Selden,
Lake Grove,
Lake Grove. Okay.
It's a big district.
It's a huge district with a huge problem.
Yes, yes.
And like many other school districts on Long Island, we don't have a problem here.
Right.
And the reason why nobody has a problem is because they're afraid of what it will do to their property values.
Right.
But if you let anything sit and fester, that's exactly what it does.
That's right. It loves.
So
addiction loves that.
Loves isolation. Loves.
And let me just say, first off, that Middle Country, we have been working with them, trying to get some stuff done, and they have been doing little bit, and it's getting better in the schools. It is. So I have to say that. While Claudia and I were just speaking about it this morning, it's not enough, and it's not all on them anyway. It shouldn't be all on just the school district. It should be on the community.
It is a community problem.
But if you don't educate your community, how can they educate their kids? How can they be a part of the solution?
Because unfortunately, and that's a big reason why I still stay committed to doing the show, is that they're all live streamed, they're all on the website, they're on YouTube, because families don't want to come out to become educated, because I can't be seen there. People think I have a problem. But you do have a problem. So, you know, it's that vicious
cycle.
Vicious cycle.
This is with Lori's help and so many other of our friends and fellow moms having the opportunity to help make the Middle Country Community Coalition, and then being able to being actually invited and partnering with the Middle Country Library to come in and do support and workshops for the community so that they can educate. So, and that's huge, because people are so much more comfortable going into their library for a workshop, because there's no, you know, you could go into the library for any reason.
Correct.
You know, so
you're not there for anything in particular. So it kind of lifts a little.
It's the brown bag still, but it is you know, available.
But it's a way to ease them into and be able to surround them with other people who are going through similar issues. And that's the first step, being able to offer that. I mean, when we all first met, we all agreed that what we needed was for all parts of the community to work together. That's what we all felt was the magic bus, you know. And that's what
religious organizations, school districts,
police enforcement,
community
services,
police enforcement, and all your local sports teams.
Absolutely, yes, and clubs,
and Girl Scout, Boy Scout, all of that.
Associations, all of it.
So being able to have the opportunity to work through and with the library is, I feel, really going to be.
It's very. I think it's going to be. Yeah, me too.
So we had sat down with a bunch of us just before Thanksgiving, and made a list of all the things that we felt and other families felt that they really needed extra education.
What's the top three things?
So
prevention,
education,
support, education. Yeah.
And
And then, of course, just we've lost track of what community really means.
Right.
It's not just that you go down to the local 7-Eleven, get your coffee, go to the gas station. You're not in your community when you're doing that.
Right.
That's your daily activity. The connection, and we've all discussed this about technology.
Right, yeah.
The connections are lost, and some of it we're never going to get back. But table talks, yes.
Yes.
But in our schools, bit by bit. But in our community, in our library, it makes sense. It just makes
It
sense.
does. Well, who you're meeting in the library are more family, parent, right?
Right.
Right.
So our generation does
Right.
like face-to-face.
Right.
We also have to meet kids. I had
Yes.
the Lindenhurst Youth Council here last week. We also have to meet them where they are.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And although they do enjoy being amongst each other, they're also children of technology.
Yes.
So
Right.
we have to engage them
Yeah.
that way. I mean, Oasis with their helpline
Right.
has a text number.
Right.
Because we have to be able to meet them there.
Right.
So, we have to figure out always.
Yeah. It's like everything else. There's no one way, right?
There's no one way.
There is
No
no
one
one
way.
way. Yeah.
We
Many
didn't-
paths to recovery.
Right.
There's many
yeah.
paths to education.
And many paths to prevention.
Right,
So,
right, exactly.
if teachers, and I know that they're overworked, I get all of that.
Right.
They're also afraid of the parents.
Yes.
Because if little Johnny comes home and says, I got a B-, and mom is calling up saying, they did better than that
Right.
because I wrote their paper, actually.
Right,
quite
yeah.
honestly. But, when we grew up, if you got a call home from a teacher,
Right.
you might as well jump out your window.
Yeah. Right.
Because it was easier
Yes. Yeah.
than being punished.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But we didn't do that,
Right.
The teacher maintained a certain molecule of
Right.
respect,
Right. Yeah.
dignity, and being objective and fair-minded towards children.
So we really need to foster and encourage going back to the
Yes.
the community working together.
A team approach.
Right. A team.
Exactly.
It takes a village. It takes a community.
I remember with Thomas going up and speaking to his whole team of teachers and saying to them, I'm here to work with you.
Right.
I'm not here to criticize you or judge
Right.
you,
Right.
although I am going
could
to
have some.
Hold you
but
accountable.
but I am going to, and I did, because that's having open communication.
Right.
And please feel free to say something to me, but I'm here to work with you, not against you.
Right.
And I tell parents that all the time. When the school calls you and says
Right.
they found an unknown substance in your child's vape pen,
Right.
they're not against your child.
They're letting you know.
They're trying to work with
Flag.
you
Right.
for the best result for the child.
Right. Right. It's not a
And we've lost sight
picking
of,
on him.
at the end of 12th grade, when they walk across the stage to get their diploma, that we've raised a healthy, happy individual ready to face college,
Right.
trade school, the world, whatever. Not that they did the best on their SATs.
Right.
Not that they did the best,
Right.
most community service.
Right.
Because if they did all of those things, struggling with depression,
Right.
with anxiety, with substance use, with
Right.
any mental health issues,
Right.
then what have we done?
Right. Right. Yeah. the
Because
missing
that's
piece.
what parents are
Most
losing
important piece. Yeah.
sight of. And these young people that I had here last week just said the same thing.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
you're being told, this is the best time of your life, why aren't you happy?
Right.
Because you're expecting what they're not capable of giving.
Right.
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 Well,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that at 18, they're
babies
They're still
still.
babies. They still have a long way
Just
to go.
because we
and
start
it's
raising them at
important.
12 as being little
Right.
adults.
Correct. And that's the
Yeah.
key right
They're
there. And
confused.
even younger,
Yeah.
they're confused.
Yeah.
Because that 12-year-old, when they say I have a big problem,
Right.
and you say that's not a problem.
Right.
You know what a problem is?
Right.
Right. It's true.
And we're all guilty of it.
Yeah.
And it has really, it's just mindfulness. It's
Yeah.
not being a bad parent. It's not, it's
Yeah.
just being in that moment where you're overworked,
Right.
overstressed, and everything else. That you need to take a step back and
Well, that's
say,
what we hope with some of these
Yeah.
workshops that
Right.
we could do.
Exactly.
You know?
So,
because that's the key.
Yeah.
right. Yeah. We've invited we've been guaranteed at least until the end of March, and hopefully continuing further than that. But they do quarterly.
We'll be in the quarterly next month.
Okay, great.
She told me yesterday.
So they do quarterly newsletters. Most libraries do.
So the first one for the end of December will come out in January?
Right. So,
January.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So we'll be holding workshops from January to March, the end of March, and then we'll hopefully start a whole nother series after that. So we're going to start with the education, the first meeting will be January 8th.
That's next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday at 6:30 at the Middle Country Library on
Centereach,
in
Eastwood
Centereach,
Boulevard.
Eastwood Boulevard, and that will just be introductions and getting to know each other.
Okay.
The next session will be the disease of addiction, and
Okay.
a workshop on what the disease of addiction is, and
Will you be facilitating all of them yourselves? Do you having guest speakers?
Yes.
yes.
Guest speakers.
Yeah. So we have
And some are,
partnered.
some.
Right, yeah, some, we will participate in, but mostly we're bringing in and partnering with all the other resources that we're aware of.
Okay.
Families in Supportive Treatment
Experience.
is one of our biggest partners. They'll be taking the first part of the series, which is Anthony Rizzuto doing the family education on the disease of addiction and the family portion of the disease and how it affects the family and the different, the changes that the family go through with the disease and while they're going through recovery, because
Yes.
that's important to, and being able to identify and understand, bridging the family back as the young person or loved one
Returns.
in recovery. Right.
Yeah, we
really
actually have
important.
to stop just saying young people because
Yeah, I know.
We do, yeah.
we are part of the Sherpa program in Good Samaritan Hospital in West Islip. The overwhelming drug is alcohol.
Right.
So
Yeah.
and that's not typically young people.
Right.
There are
Yeah.
too many young people drinking
Yeah.
extraordinary amounts of alcohol, but
Yeah.
that's
All age brackets, it's older.
It's also it's families that have
Yeah.
really been silenced for many, many years and
Right.
beat down,
Generations.
and beat up. Yeah.
Right. Generations.
Made to feel
So-
normal, made
Yeah.
to be okay.
Yeah.
So some of the other organizations that we're partnering with and have agreed so far is the Sunshine Prevention Center, Dr. Carol Carter, who does an awesome program on Boyle Road. She's going to do, what's the name of her series?
Oh, yeah, creative child, yeah.
Children of Recovery.
Okay.
A new kind of childcare,
Right.
Because we have so many grandparents bringing up their children, bringing up their grandchildren, and teaching and how to talk to really young children and how to have that conversation at different levels. Regardless of whether or not it could be that child has a parent or both parents, God forbid.
But we
who
also have
the
to
disease.
utilize on Oasis the kitchen.
Oh, the kitchen table. Right.
You can go on there and you can literally
Yes.
print your whole lesson, whether you're sitting with your own children, with a Girl Scout,
Absolutely.
Boy Scout, anybody.
Yes.
And that's all ages.
Right, right. Well, so that's the other reason
But
of
bringing
being able
those
to
resources
access
out, yeah.
into. And actually, that's a great idea. I would love to reach out to Oasis and have them come and do some. Maybe a series on their own, because Oasis does offer so much now.
Yeah.
I mean,
That
they've
people
been
are
so
unaware of.
great.
Well,
yeah, that people
if
are
you'd like,
unaware of.
I was
Yeah.
part of the kitchen table
Yes.
toolkit. I'd be
Yeah.
happy to come and do
Right,
that
yeah.
for you.
Yeah, that
Show
would
them
be
where the
great.
resources
Yeah.
are.
So we have
Walk them
LICAD
through
coming
that.
in, talking about people who go through the jail system and how to bridge families, because now you're dealing with possible legal charges and addiction, and that's a whole another
Losing your
issue.
house.
And losing your house, and so many issues.
Yeah.
So And then we're hoping also to do a piece later on in the year, a series on
Spirituality.
different
Spirituality?
and how to reconnect
Right.
with our people, and advocacy.
And
learning how
definitely.
there are so many different ways that you can advocate for your family, for yourself, and learning how to do that, because most people, it's not taught in schools. That's something
Well,
that,
there's people don't know that they can say,
right,
no, they're not coming back to my home. Come up
Right.
with a different discharge plan.
right, right.
So, doing what we do at Thomas's Hope, helping families come through that.
Right, exactly.
You're allowed to say that
Right.
and not be ashamed of that.
Right.
Because your 30-year-old needs to be able to stand on their own 2 feet.
Right.
That's exactly
And,
right.
and there comes a time and a place, and that's not being mean.
Right.
It's not being anything. It's being truthful.
Right.
And it's being honest
Yes.
with yourselves.
You're setting everybody up for a failure if you don't
Yeah.
have a good discharge plan ahead
Right.
of
But
leaving that
most,
place.
and I'm going to be,
I know.
most treatment facilities
Don't do that.
don't do it.
Yeah, I
Right.
know.
And they don't encourage it either.
No, they don't, no.
It's easier for them.
Of
Right.
course, it's easier for them.
Just, yeah. Let
So
them.
How
we-
many phone
we
calls from
actually-
parents that we got that kids just got dropped off at a bus
Right.
stop
Right, right.
and they have to find their own way home. And I'm not picking anybody in particular. I'm just saying, how is that? Everything that you did, and whether it was 28 days, or longer, is you're stepping
less.
back.
Well, what you're
Because
saying
you're
is you're
dropping them off.
disposable. You're
Yes.
still disposable.
Yes.
Right,
Right.
You're
right,
still
right.
disposable.
Exactly.
And they're
I
so
had a call
vulnerable at that point.
from a counselor last week. Well, it came back to me that the counselor spoke to someone who said she's not doing a very good job advocating, and then they said she's not advocating for the patient, she's advocating for the family.
Right.
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 Well, what the hell do we need that for?
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I just screw up your
Yeah.
best
Right.
laid plans that
Right.
you never even bothered to ask if that was an okay
Right.
plan?
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's either an okay plan, right?
Right.
Or it's not.
Right.
But you can't let them leave without being safe.
Right.
Right.
And knowing
Yes.
that the family
Right.
can take them back in.
Right.
Exactly.
You can't just assume.
Or I love when they,
Right.
if they make a mistake and they get thrown out.
Yeah.
Why did that ever become okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in sober houses and halfway houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're taking a very sick individual
Right.
who's doing what their body craves, and their mind is, but you're saying it's a mind disease, and then you say, "Oh, you made a mistake. You're
You're out of
You're
here.
out."
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Don't even
Yeah.
get started on the sober houses, please.
Yes.
That's not even sober houses all
Right.
the time.
Yes,
No, it's
right,
not.
exactly.
Treatment.
You're right.
Treatment
You're
does
right.
that as well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's not okay.
No. No.
Even listen, many things can happen. Then segregate them, separate them, give them consequences for their actions.
Right.
Right.
Certainly,
Which is a
I love
process
when
they need to learn.
exactly consequences.
Right, exactly.
Oh, they had sex.
Right.
Oh well, two 22-year-olds. God forbid.
Right.
Right. Right.
It's just
Right.
the. So
Nobody
we
said
we
condone
can get,
it.
Right.
Exactly.
Don't condone it.
Consequences.
Right.
Always consequences.
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Exactly.
That's exactly right. And
So,
they're doing that so often.
when we talk about MAT, right?
Yes.
Medically
assisted
treatment versus abstinence,
And therapy.
we have way
Yeah.
too many people being very vocal on abstinence is the only way. Well,
Right.
that was your only way.
Right.
Yeah.
Shut up
So-
and be a counselor or get out. Because here's where I'm standing now. You either embrace all the advances that we've made treating substance use disorder, or it's like having a first grade teacher who hates 6-year-olds
Right.
being a first grade teacher.
That's exactly right.
Get a new job.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's another,
Agreed.
you mentioned medically assisted treatment, and I'm so for that, because I just feel that, what works for one might not work for the other, but we have to have all those options open, and we have to meet people where they're at. My biggest concern right now are those doctors that are
Still selling the
Still-
prescription for $600? Cash?
and
Right.
or not even worrying whether or not the person is actually in therapy. It should be medically
yeah.
assisted therapy as well as medically assisted treatment. You know, they're hand
But
in
this
hand.
is all
yeah,
education.
Yeah.
education.
You know,
absolutely.
and too many families
Right.
just say, well, I don't care what we do as
Right.
long as he's not doing that
Right.
heroin anymore.
Right, yeah.
Or actually, you know, now Vivitrol can
Right.
be used for alcohol too.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Just not what you're not doing.
Right.
Because you're missing out on the whole recovery experience.
Process.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, you can be
Otherwise,
abstinent
you
and be a
will,
mean
You will
son
wind
of a-
up on this going through
The
it
hamster
over and
wheel.
the hamster wheel and going through it over and over again if you don't get to the bottom of
But there's
why
way
you
too
were
many
turning.
physicians that just, even in the emergency room, they still don't want to write that
No.
I know.
Suboxone prescription, and it's
Yeah.
so fortunately, you know, Thomas's Hope, I'm educating and being a part of
Right.
Catholic Health Systems, what they teach their residents.
Right. That's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's so
because we have
important.
to start to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to
absolutely.
take 20 years
Yeah.
to change,
yeah.
just like
Yeah.
smoking did.
Right.
Yeah.
But 20 years is going to pass,
Right.
whether we wanted to or not.
Right.
So
Exactly.
you might as well do
Yeah.
something about it.
Might as well
Yeah.
do something about it. So I think, though, for parents or community, it needs to be sold as a wellness
Right.
program, not a substance use
I know.
program,
Right.
because they won't come.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Well, that's why we. You
What
know,
did you
this
name
is-
it?
So it's the
Middle Country Community Coalition. The program is SCORE. Support, Community, Outreach, Resources, Education.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So we can score.
Right.
Even if
Exactly.
one starfish, no, one person at a time. So, you know, we have to educate, like you said, education is key to any of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Prevention, treatment, all of it. And I still don't understand why it's not mandatory that all physicians have to. If you can write a script for any of that
It is
stuff,
mandatory.
Yeah, but they don't do it. You know that they don't.
They have to do it.
They do have to do
No,
it.
they have to do it, Lori.
Yeah?
They do have to do it.
I just meant-
That doesn't
okay.
mean they have to change
Their
okay.
thinking.
Okay, that
Okay.
doesn't mean that.
All right.
They have to do it.
Okay.
The education, bill went through, and they have to do it.
So the physician
doesn't
that I
mean-
just spoke to, who said he doesn't have to, he is just covering himself because he doesn't want to.
I can't speak for him
Right.
because I didn't
Right.
speak for him, but in order
Yeah.
to, complete his continuing ed, it's only once every
3 years.
years.
Yeah. Right.
So,
Yeah.
So he might be misinformed.
Or-
When did the law only just passed last year?
2016, so it went
16.
into effect
Yeah.
in 2017.
2017.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they have till
Well,
2020.
I'm going to have to do something about that. I have to find out because it's
Yeah.
going to irritate me to know.
No, you just print out the
Yeah,
law.
exactly.
You
Just,
Yeah.
Google
just send
it.
them the law.
Yeah, and just
There
send
you
it in
go.
the mail and say, oh, by the way, you must have missed this.
Oh,
Thought maybe you
I
should
might
have.
walk it in though.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But at any rate, that gives us another reason why the library is such a good opportunity, because they have children's program, teen programs, family programs, so we have the gambit of the
To
community
associate
there.
that, yeah.
And we'll be able to bring in, not only the resources, but we can have available all the flyers for the resources, Thomas's Hope and Hugs and Fist and LICAD and
Neighborhood
Oasis, Neighborhood House. There's so much out there. It's
Everybody's
so
in their
important.
own silo.
Right. So
Unfortunately.
bringing
still.
everybody together and making that available, so that we can partner.
But for
we need to
somehow-
partner more. Yeah.
Somehow people think that there's going to be a shortage of patients, and unfortunately, there won't ever be a shortage of patients.
I mean, I would hope that would happen. I would love for that to happen.
Oh, me
But
too.
I don't.
The
reality is, my son passed away 18 years ago.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that when my son passed away, I was one of a very few parents who had that I
Who
knew
spoke
of
out.
who spoke out.
Right.
Right.
I don't think that you were one of
No,
No,
that's
no.
what I'm saying. That's
Publicly.
exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Exactly.
I was one of very few that you knew of
Right.
that who had lost a child, and now people are more comfortable, reluctantly,
Right.
but have
I
been
think
coming
that
forward
it's
more and
still-
more.
I think we still.
Oh, we still have
yeah.
a long way to go.
We have parents that have gone
Absolutely.
through what we've gone through that still talk the way,
Right.
not
yeah.
necessarily we used to talk, but still have some of the ideas and the stigma and the shame.
Right.
And meanwhile, it's now where people are talking more than they did before, 5 years ago,
Right.
10 years, 18 years ago. So we just got to keep that up. We can't ever be quiet. But I just recently, one of our moms that have lost did a thing on Channel 12, an interview. And what got me irritated, and I love the woman and I love what she was saying, but we said all these things 5 years ago. We said all these things 10, 15, 20 years ago, 18 years ago.
It's the same interview.
It's the same interview.
Different
And
face.
I am starting to take offense that we are being used
We are being used.
for the
Make no
that
card,
mistake
about
right.
that.
I want real stuff. I don't want to cry in front of the camera anymore. Not that I really kind of ever did, but I
Right,
don't
yes,
really
right.
want to. I don't want to be the pity card. I want things to change because I care about my neighbors' kids that are going to school now, and what in 20 years that's going to happen. That's what we need to focus on. And recovery, the good part about focusing on recovery, that's great, but they still have to know the danger.
Right.
Some of these new conversations are about how we have to just keep recovery in the forefront. That's good, but we do have to talk about prevention, education, and what's going wrong to get to that point.
We still have to build our children.
Right.
And build our families.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
relationships between all the organizations
Right.
to become unified so we can help you in Thomas's Hope, where you can help this one. Like we said,
Working together.
we didn't become addicts. What term? We changed it to substance use, and then we want to say what?
Substance use disorder.
Yeah.
Substance use disorder.
Right, but I still say addict because I have no shame in it.
Yeah.
But we didn't become that one way. Recovery isn't one way, and our family dynamics are not all the same.
Right.
So we have to use all these resources.
Yeah.
And thank you, Linda.
You're welcome. And we're going to be right back after this message.
Why? Yeah. All right.
One, two, three. Long before my dream of playing professional football became real, addiction impacted my family and nearly destroyed it. As a New Yorker, I can tell you that all our communities are being hurt by addiction. New York State is leading the fight in combating addiction, providing help and treatment regardless of your ability to pay. For more information, visit combataddiction.ny.gov. Growing up as a young kid when addiction was around was tough. It was, at the time, I felt like it was unfair. I had to grow up quick. At the age of 11, my father left the house after, a couple months after I found drug paraphernalia in their nightstand. And it was a tough reality to face as a young kid. And, there were good days and bad days, but there were a lot of bad ones. After my father left, we got kicked out of homes. There were people in and out of my house, and I didn't understand, why did this happen to me? Why did my parents have to be addicted to drugs? Yeah, going through recovery was a long road. When I was a senior in high school, my mother went away to prison. I had to go through my college recruiting by myself. I had to go off to college. My friends' parents took me to college. And so it was tough going through those times. But when my mom decided that she wanted to change her life, she wanted to get help. My mom got sober in prison. She got out of prison and gave up drugs and regained her relationship with God. My mother works for the church now, and we have a great relationship. I tell her every time I talk to her how proud I am of her and what she's accomplished. You know, she's a tough woman. She's been through a lot, but the things that she's done after prison have been amazing. You know, I'm so proud of her. She got her associate's degree. We have a great relationship. She's a great grandmother to my nieces and nephews, to my children. She's always there for me when I need to talk to her, and we have a great relationship. For a while, it looked like, you know, when you're in it, when you're in the addiction part of it, I never thought my mom would be the same. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You can change your life, you can get help, and you can have a better life and regain those relationships and have a positive effect on those people around you. You know, I look at, you know, when I go through tough times in my life, I ask myself, what would my mom do? Because my mom has been through, you know, I always say my mom has been to hell and back, and she's doing great, and I'm thankful for it, and I'm proud of her. My father as well. You know, I didn't have the best relationship with my father. When he left the house when I was 11, he left us with no car. I didn't speak to him for 3 years, and that was probably the toughest time of my life. But we gained that relationship back. My father's been clean for 3 years. His health is doing better. He's trying to be a better grandfather, trying to be a better father. And, you know, I forgive him. And our relationship is, you know, we're back communicating, and I love it, you know. I tell him I'm proud of him as well, because it's a tough circumstance. You know, it's easy to look at someone who's in addiction and blame them, and blame them for the choices they make. But it's the drugs, it's the alcohol that have a hold of them. And it's not, they don't want to be in that position. You have to understand that. They don't want to be making these decisions. They don't want to put these people in jeopardy. They want to get help. But once they decide to get help and to do something about it, there's great things that can happen at the end. Yeah, recovery is possible, and it happens to a lot of people. You know, you'd be surprised at how many people are in recovery right now that went out and got help. People out there that want to help you if you're in recovery. You know, there are people all over who you have no idea went through, they've been affected by it. You know, whether it's a family member, a friend, themselves personally, if they went through addiction. There are a lot of people that are going through issues that you've been through. So don't be afraid to ask for help. There are a lot of resources out there that can help you and get you the right treatment and to get you back on the road to recovery.
Welcome back to Resolutions for Recovery, and we're talking about a new service that'll be at Middle Country Library starting Tuesday, January 8th. It's not closed off to anybody else that would like to come.
Nope.
Open to
any resident.
Any Suffolk County resident.
And free.
And free.
And
yes. Free. Mm-hmm. So it's from 6 to 8:30 every other Tuesday. There's it's the second and fourth Tuesday of every month.
Okay. 6 o'clock may be a little tough for people to get there, but
6:30,
I would still encourage everyone to still come.
Come,
right?
even if you come late.
There's a flyer that's
Thank
up there,
you very
so
much.
we'll put that up on Thomas's Hope website too.
Right. So
but
we're
if you
offering-
get there by 7, you still have
Absolutely.
an hour and a
everybody's
half.
welcome.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And the first meeting is going to be strictly come meet us,
Right.
hang out,
Right.
mingle,
Get to
talk,
know.
and get to know us, what we're going to do.
You may not come back then, Lori.
Funny. It'll be tons of minions then.
Right.
And
Yes.
bitches.
Yes.
And obviously, we'll have for those that are leery of coming in and sitting down, we'll have plenty of information out there for other resources. We have been collecting, I run some other support groups. I always collect information on support and education groups and Thomas's Hope. And
So the thing is that there's no one right treatment,
there's no one reach
for people struggling. There is no
Or for
right treatment
families.
for families either. So I'm a big encourager of Find Your Peeps.
Yep.
Yes, yeah.
Because, you know, unfortunately, and myself included, Naranon or families, and you know, if you don't find the right group,
So that's actually one
It
of our
doesn't,
workshops is
you know,
find
finding
your
your
tribe.
tribe.
And we'll have people from all different support groups that'll come and speak, because I have always felt that that's, you know, there are
imperative.
plenty. It's
Yeah.
imperative. And to go wherever you feel comfortable.
unfortunately, there are too many groups
Right,
that
yeah.
sit in their own.
Grief, yeah, that's not
Crap.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Not
that's,
grief.
That's
It's crap.
That's not healthy.
So you either stand in a solution, but don't, you know.
So we'll have someone
Don't come
from
to me with a
12-step. We'll have someone from Smart Recovery. We'll have someone that does just a regular a productive support group. And then we'll have someone that works with teens. And but the most important thing is to recognize that the family is affected, and you do need support. And it's really important that you find a group of people who are going through similar things.
And that you're gonna
you are.
connect with and
that you're
feel
going to connect
comfortable
with,
with.
and move forward
with.
Right.
Right. That you're going to work
If you
towards
leave-
a positive
If
solution.
you leave a group feeling worse than when you walked in, you don't.
Then that's not your group. That's
Not your
exactly
group.
right. That's exactly
It's
right.
not your group.
But it's important that you find a group that you're comfortable in and that works for you, and that you'll go to.
Right. And
so
feeling free to call a recovery coach. You know, we work
Absolutely.
with families
Yeah.
all the time, and it's so easy for them just to text,
right.
and we just walk through something.
Absolutely.
Because there's no stupid questions.
No.
Right?
Absolutely.
Only the one that's not asked.
Yeah.
That's exactly
So,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
don't answer
Right.
your loved one who's affected right away.
Right.
You know, you don't owe them anything either.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's really important, and I definitely stress that with a lot of family members. You know, call each other. You know, in my group we have a phone chain, so if you're struggling a day, everybody gets a list of people that I recommend outside the group, because sometimes you're having a bad day and you might need to make 4 or 5 phone calls before you get someone that can talk to you.
Right.
But make that call.
Don't stop.
Don't stop. And I encourage them to have a list for their loved one as well. And to have that available at all times, so that you always have some place to go to or to turn to. I give them a ton of websites that I recommend as well. Oasis is always at the top, because
Oasis,
there's,
you know,
and then there's the hotlines that you can, LICAD has a 24-hour.
Yes.
24-hour, the Sherpa program, both family and for those struggling. You know, it's really important to have, and just like if you're going out and you're leaving your kids with a babysitter, you're going to have all those resources available.
You're going to have all the phone numbers.
All the phone numbers.
That's right.
You should have all those phone numbers for your
So,
family.
you know, so we talked about Hugs and the Teen Institute. So
Right.
we were just talking on break, too.
Right.
Prevention, if no one ever picks up a substance of any kind, there's no risk of ever
Right.
having a problem with it.
Right.
Unfortunately, kids being what they do best is being kids.
Right.
And unfortunately, right?
Yes.
Experimenting.
It's just high-risk
Curious.
behavior.
Yep.
Children
Yeah.
know that drugs and alcohol are bad. We've done a really good job educating on that. But we have to give them other outlets for the stressors of their lives.
Right.
And I think that's the way, not to say prevention so much, but to say kids need their own communication skills.
Right. Yeah. Their
with
own
parents.
toolbox.
They need their own toolbox. And they need to know how to open their toolbox and talk about what's really troubling them, and not being really dismayed if they are put off
Right.
by whoever, by a loved one, by a teacher, by
Friend.
you know, by whoever.
Yeah.
Because we all need to remember that that problem is paramount to whoever's going through it.
Right.
And it would be the same thing as me. You know, you come to me with something that I don't think is a problem, and me shutting you down.
Right.
Right.
It's not.
You
it's
need
not
to be with
workable.
people that build you up.
Right.
Right.
And not break you down.
And not break you down, but just acknowledging.
Right.
You know, I didn't realize what a struggle you were having with this.
Right.
Right. Right.
Let's find a solution, and not
You
know,
telling
parents,
them, yeah.
You can't tell people what the solution is.
Right.
Parents, employers, whoever it may be,
Right.
their solution is their solution, but giving them the openness and an ear to be able to find what the solution is.
Right.
And, you know, I'm one of 5, and my parents did a really great job. When I think back, and of course, you know, I thought at the time, your parents are lame.
Right.
But my mother always knew when something was not quite right and always found a way to find out what was wrong. And then
My
never...
mother was wonderful at, 5 of us left on the bus to go to school. And we would come home and our rooms would switched. She cleaned and switched our rooms. Well, she did that to investigate what we were all doing. She wasn't just a housewife bored and didn't want to eat bonbons. She was actually, there was a method to the madness.
Yeah.
We didn't like it that much because our room, we walk in the room and it's not our room. But she did that like seasonally, if you will, to check up on, you know. And
Well,
yeah.
she was being an investigator.
Investigator, yeah.
But when a child sits down, and you know, you always knew too.
Oh, yeah.
When your kids are, especially
Oh, yeah.
when they're little, when they
Yeah.
have that face or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just that
Something's
not
not right.
grilling them,
Right.
but motivational interviewing would be a
Right.
great
Right.
topic
Yeah,
for you.
that's another
a
good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And like you said before, like when I said to Nick, you know, my realization of what I was maybe doing, I don't say wrong, but what I was used to, was, you know what? I want for you what I think you should want for yourself. And you know what? That's not necessarily right.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, I
So-
think that families also struggle with, so we're going to be doing another series of grief recovery. And grief comes in many different forms.
Yeah.
And being a parent and not realizing the life that you wanted your child to have
Right.
is grief.
Yes. 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 I
Absolutely.
have this conversation with families all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time. And you should grieve that and walk through it so that you can accept what your child is doing on their own.
Disappointed
Right.
in what you thought their life should
Right.
be.
But it's
Because
your thought.
It's your thought. And I think we all have to remember,
I've done it. Absolutely.
right? We all have to remember that it was done to us too.
Absolutely.
It still doesn't make it right.
No.
No, right, exactly.
It still doesn't make it right.
Right.
So embrace who they are,
Exactly.
what their strengths are.
Right.
And, you know, listen, the 3 of us know better than anyone, you know, and I say, at least you get to watch a life that maybe you don't agree with, but a life going to be well lived.
Yeah.
We don't get that choice anymore.
Right.
And that really sucks.
Yes.
So be careful what you wish for.
Right.
Yeah.
And be careful of what your expectations are.
I think as angel parents or angel moms that the 3 of us are gives us a very unique
Perception.
of that. You know.
Yeah.
I know that I am certainly a different, more accepting
Mother.
more, having lost
Human being.
Right.
being.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
And not being afraid to show my children that I am a human being.
Absolutely.
That's really,
Yeah.
you know, I've found in my family the most important
Yeah.
thing was to show them I'm not on a pedestal. I'm not on a higher plane than you are. We're all human beings.
That's right.
I
Yeah.
have faults. You have faults.
Yeah.
And accepting each other. They needed to accept me for who I am
Absolutely.
as well
Right.
as me accepting
Absolutely.
them for who they are.
Yeah.
And learning how to have that process
Right.
Yeah.
is difficult.
Right.
But
It is difficult.
But it is one
But you
that
know-
is so worth it.
When you
Right.
hold on to the past
Right.
and you don't forgive for the other person, you forgive for yourself.
Right.
Because no one deserves to carry anything moving forward.
Right.
Right? So
a lot of
parents always say, well, what would you have done differently? Well, I can't answer that.
Right.
Because at the moment in time, I did the best job that I could at the moment in time that I was.
Right.
If I were to go back now, I have so much more knowledge,
Right.
which is what I'm trying to impart on you
Right.
in my brain that I can't say because I didn't know what I know
Right.
today.
Yeah. I dislike any of those questions.
I know.
Yeah.
So I never,
not
that's
fair.
how I answer
Right.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But, you know, whether it's your children, whether it's other loved ones, don't look at me and say, you know, I mean, I've written many an article in the comments, well, good, another scumbag is dead. You know,
Oh
like,
my gosh.
you know, that ignorance has to go out of the world.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Compassion.
Compassion.
So we really
empathy.
need empathy and
Yeah.
compassion. So
And confronting the comment.
Right.
It's, you know, and you don't have to do it
You don't
with
always have-
angry.
you know-
No, you don't have to always, but like in my
Confronting ignorance is like
Yeah, but
watching
in-
my dog chase his tail.
But-
we're not getting anywhere.
But we have to educate too, right?
if they're willing
And
to
we're
be educated,
experienced.
Right.
Right.
you
But
can't
have to
educate
make
someone
first
that
comment.
does not
Yeah.
want to be educated.
Right.
And it's an exercise in futility.
Yeah.
For me.
Right.
I'm
right.
not going to spin my wheels getting angry about what I don't need to get angry
Well, I'm not
about.
speaking on angry because, like, I had an incident happen at work where a coworker said something that was as equally stupid, ignorant. And after 2 weeks of it festering, where it was bothering me, coming and talking and saying it, like, you know, do you understand that you hurt everybody? There happened to be another woman involved who was a customer that also lost a child. So forget that I'm your coworker and you know I lost somebody. Now you have a customer at a workplace and you have no idea what you're talking about.
Right.
I had to make it known that it affected more than just her comment, affected me, but this customer. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, deep down, I know she has 2 young kids that are going to middle school. And I just felt, you know, that's what I do now. I open my mouth. I had to. And once I did, I had a peace, I'll be honest with you. But it wasn't out of anger.
You're allowed to have it. So
Was it-
you'll laugh because I go into the deli and with my fractured elbow and the sling and everything else, I say to the young man, can you put my lunch in a bag with a handle? Because he goes, did they give you some really good stuff for the pain?
Oh, geez, yeah.
The deli
my
is
gosh.
mobbed. And I said, you know, having lost a child to substance use,
Yeah,
that is a
same.
very, very ignorant comment to make. I go, because people get into a lot of trouble that way. And his face changed.
Right.
Right.
And the deli got quiet. And I just said, and if you ever need to speak to someone or anyone else in here, I'm available. And I
Right.
left some cards.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wasn't angry at his.
Right.
I wasn't
That's it.
anything. I
Yeah.
was just like, and hence the stupidity continues.
Right.
Right.
You know, and sometimes people make those comments out of some kind of need inside of
Right.
them to be accepted.
Right.
Yeah.
Or they think they're being funny or,
Right.
you know,
and we
getting
have to-
attention.
Right.
Or,
Right.
Yeah.
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 So you wouldn't say that to someone's family with a patient in hospice.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You wouldn't say that. So we just need to remember to treat everyone
Compassion.
with compassion.
And
I
empathy,
think that's, yeah.
Be thumper. If you have
so
nothing nice
This
to
is
say, shut up.
Yep.
So every year on New Year's, I choose a word for the year. And that's this year's word is compassion.
Yeah. There's not
For
enough
myself,
of it in
for
the
my,
world.
and there really isn't.
No,
there
and
really isn't.
you know, so in looking at the word of compassion, what it means to me is acceptance and love and embracing others who have you know, a different way of looking at things. And to me, that's that can only enrich my life.
Right.
You know,
You know,
because it gives me other
yes.
ideas. You're playing off each other.
So in
working
being
together.
a trainer for the recovery coaches and listening to people in many walks of life, not necessarily agree with medication assisted, with a lot of things. I said, your opinion really doesn't matter, does it? And people have a really hard time embracing that.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they see something as only one way. You know,
Right.
Thomas's Hope bought fentanyl testing strips.
Yes.
Did I want to do that? Absolutely not.
Right. Right.
If it saves one life,
Right.
I don't have to agree
Harm
with it.
reduction.
I never have to agree with anything. I just have to have faith that if it saves one person, then we've done a really good job.
Absolutely.
But, you know, again, it's not anybody's concern how I treat my disease.
Right. Right.
You know, breast cancer, you can take that, I forget the name of the drug that you can take for many, right?
Oh,
that women
right,
could
yeah.
take
Yeah, I can't
that may,
think of the
you know,
name of it.
and
Yeah.
that's controversial too.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but we would never.
I'd never say
dare.
to them, "Oh, don't do that." How
Right,
can you
I
do
can't
that?
believe you're
Yeah.
doing that.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's terrible. You wouldn't.
Yeah.
And doing that is only cutting off that other possibility of saving that person if that's the thing that's going to work for them.
Exactly.
You know, I think-
exactly, and I don't think people look at the.
No.
disease.
I think, but well, you know, so unfortunately, in an adolescent brain, addiction festers like wildfire.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's going to grow and it's going to go fast.
Yeah.
So if we can be the roadblock to give that brain time to recover,
Right.
regroup, and find its new pathways, because you have disturbed the formation
Yes.
of their brain being hardwired.
Right.
Right.
And can it come back? Yes. Will it come back the same way that if it was never interrupted?
Not necessarily.
We don't know that.
We don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to hope that it does.
Right.
We're going to hope for the best.
Right.
Right.
But they're certainly never going to realize their full potential. And this is what, you know, bothers me, that parents, you will put them in SAT courses.
Right.
You will tell them they must maintain high honors, community service, sports, because this is, and then let them go on the weekend when the very thing that could kill them and really change
Right.
who they are is going to change who they are.
Right.
Right.
So, you know, you need to let go of a lot of things.
Right.
Equally.
There needs to be a balance.
A balance.
Yeah.
That's my word for this year,
Yeah.
is balance.
Yeah.
Because we can't do this 24/7.
Right.
We can't want community education and other parents to be okay and all of that more than those parents want it.
Yeah. You're right. That's something. Yeah.
And that's just something that we need to look at.
Right. Exactly.
And we really
Yeah.
do need to look at that. Because just as if you can't fight for that one person, you can't want their recovery more than
Well, then
they want.
do. Right.
Right.
That you can't work harder at it than they do.
Right.
We can't work harder at a community. None of us have small children
Right.
in the school districts
Yeah.
anymore. I have my little guys, and I certainly want a better world for them,
Right. Right. Yeah.
Right.
but I can't fight harder
Than their own parents.
than their own
Right.
parents
Yeah.
and their
And that was
own
something
young
tough
ones.
that I have a hard time getting over. I don't understand why they're not fighting hard.
Yeah.
I do. They're afraid. They're not educated.
No, I
on
don't
it,
even
all
think
these-
it's that much.
No?
I think, remember when you were a young parent, running kids all
Right.
over the world, being
You don't think
going through
your kids
all
are
of
too
those
little
things.
for this. They don't.
Well,
think
that's
they
what I'm
need
talking
to do
about.
it now.
Denial. Yeah,
but
that.
it's not even denial. It's just being so busy that you
I have
don't
to be
think-
honest with you. I wasn't that parent. You know, my kids were not in organized sports. They were not. We didn't go to clubs and school stuff. I
But
stayed
all
home in daycare.
kids
Yes, I
are
understand.
in that realm today, and most
Right,
parents are
right.
both working.
Yeah.
So you can't give a blanket thought to that, Lori.
No, I
because
can't. Except when it's something that
equally-
important, I can.
Yes, but equally as you're just saying, you know,
Oh, that's what
I don't
said. I
accept
have a
that.
hard time to getting over that.
because you have to see both sides of the equation, and I see both sides of the equation. So it's just a learning curve, right?
Yeah.
And we just
that's
have
it.
to be.
Just start learning.
You can't
Just go to course.
but you can't just say
No,
that
I know.
either.
Yeah.
I know. I hate the word
can't.
just. It's very simplistic. Everybody should just. I get that.
Right.
I know that.
You're not going to change a whole community.
No,
But if
no.
you change 10 people in the community, that will change 10 people. It
Yeah, I
will,
get it.
It will grow, but it's going to take 20 years.
Yeah.
We may never see it. We may
Right.
never realize it,
Yeah.
to be quite honest.
Yeah.
And that's okay,
Right.
because smoking took every bit of 20 years to change.
More than that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really did.
Yeah.
But when the kindergartners start coming home
Right.
and saying to mom and dad, I think we need a meditation break,
I know.
or let's do some yoga. I
love that.
Is
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
things are going to be
Right.
different.
Right. Yeah.
Right now they're not.
Yeah.
And it's a long period of time to get there.
Yeah.
And it's the journey.
Yeah.
Be
You're changing.
attached to the journey,
Yeah.
Right.
not the destination.
Right.
Because whatever inroads are made is a beautiful thing.
Right. Absolutely.
Listen, I
Yeah.
know how valuable we are in Catholic health systems right now. I know how valuable we are
Yeah.
to the families that do reach out,
Right.
you know, and having our first group of doing relapse prevention and having 20 plus people there
That's great.
coming consistently through the holidays
Yeah.
is a big statement to make. People are ready for it,
Yeah.
but they also have to be brought along on
Right.
that journey.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what, you know, I love about what we do. We're continuing that journey, and I have people second overdose family that I still work with,
Wow. That's
and
lovely.
we are
Yeah.
dear friends.
Yeah.
Big changes,
Yeah.
not for their loved one yet,
Right.
but
For the
big
family.
changes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not for the whole family either.
And that's
No.
important, though.
But that's so important,
Yeah,
because
acknowledging whatever inroads you make without judging. How
can't
you're
judge
not-
the outcome.
Exactly.
period.
Exactly.
End of conversation.
You just
Whether it's the
have full
community,
acceptance.
the family, the
Yeah.
school,
Full
it doesn't
acceptance.
matter.
Yeah.
You know, Kings Park last year did 2 months of Mindfulness Monday,
Nice.
and they did a different subject every single day.
Wow.
Did they do that this year? I don't know, because the principal changed, but they did it.
Wow. That's
You know,
lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But bringing that, you know,
Right.
into play.
Right.
But also having, last year when I went and spoke for the week, having children come down and teachers witnessing what their students were dealing with because they were unaware that they were dealing with it.
Right.
Right,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
But
That's so
we
important.
have to,
Yeah.
but there has to be the willingness to listen,
Listen.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
you know,
And the open-minded.
and the open-mindedness. Not everybody has that, Norman Rock. Well, listen, look
Yeah.
at the holidays, coming through the holidays.
Yeah.
I know.
Not easy for anyone. So that whole idea that, you know, it's such a ridiculous thing when people go into debt to seemingly bring joy.
Right.
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 Bring joy, compassion, empathy,
Doesn't
and
come in a box
service
with a bow.
Service.
to others.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Tuesday, January 8th, Middle Country Library, 6 to 8:30.
6:30 to 8.
6 to 8:30.
6:30.
6:30 to 8:30. It's the way.
I'll be there at 6 o'clock, so it's really okay.
And bring snacks. And
We're
people
gonna bring
will
Yes,
come.
yes,
Yes, snacks will be
Thank
there.
you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. If you have a problem, don't be afraid to reach out in any way, shape, or form to whoever you have to reach out to. Go to thomas'shope.org, and we're available to help anybody get through whatever. Have a great week.
Nice job, guys.